everyone, and it's us again. I'm Raquel Marshall coming to you again with Mr. Stefan Bryan. Thank you so much for joining us on Key TV Caribbean Talent Network. Stefan, what intrigued you? Where did this intrigue for Asian women?
For yellow women?
Well, you know what? I suppose that's right. For yellow women, where did that come from?
I think it definitely came from the Chinaman shop in our neighborhood.
Right. Okay.
Without question. There are 2 or 3 Chinese shops in my neighborhood, and I was fascinated by them from a very early age. They didn't interact with the general public. They didn't interact with all of the black people. They just have them shop and them lock up them shop and them go up on them hills or wherever them live and them come back a man in time and open up the shop and I thought, who are these people? Why they have shops and they've got big American cars and they're not poor and pauperized like the African people, the people of African descent, and I became fascinated with them from a very early age. And when I became sexually active at 7, I imagined and fantasized about participating in sexual activities with them. So that's where that come from, and that's why I ended up living in Japan.
Right. So we understand where it came from. What was it about them then, Stefan? What was it about them? Now I understood. Okay, they lived on these shops, etc. Above the shops, and they were almost elusive.
They were in Trinidad too, right?
That's right. Yes. In fact, we call it go down by the parlor down there. Go down by the parlor down there and get some sugar or a pound of salt or whatever.
Right, the big deal of coconut aisle.
That's right. But what is it, that really intrigued you about them? Yes, I understand that, but what was it about these women?
I think that from a very early age, I observed the combination of black and yellow people and kind of China Royale. And I always thought, you know what, I like that combination of black and yellow. It looks good. I think I'd like to have half black and yellow children. And that started from that age too, because I daydreamt very heavily as a depressed child.
Right.
And one of the things I daydreamt about heavily, very frequently, was starting a family and who I was going to start this family with. And then was some Chinese woman.
Okay. So did you develop any of these relationships with these Chinese women in your area where you grew up?
No, of course not, because them want to shop, them lock up the shop, them gone in them yard, uptown.
Just checking.
But I have, she was half Chinese.
Okay.
And it's in details in the book, so I don't want to give it away.
All right, so you didn't pursue any Chinese, anybody around there?
I couldn't.
I was just about to say, I think you would get chopped up there, right?
No, but they're not really talking about it in our neighborhood, so couldn't get no way, couldn't make no progress. So I had to wait until I immigrated to.
What led you to emigrate to the United States? What was that transition like? What happened that you had to leave Jamaica?
Well, I think many people, like many Jamaicans, many black people who are descendants of slaves, I had an absentee father, and my father, they're foreign.
Right.
Left when I was about 2 years old. I didn't meet him until I came to the States, and him filed for me when I was 15. And it's really that simple.
Right. So you came over and then you went to UCLA.
Well, I came at 15. Stayed with my father in New York, and he put me on a Greyhound bus 3 months later. Actually, it was 2 choices. He was either going to put me on a plane back to Jamaica, but his wife said, why you want to carry him back to Jamaica? Take 10 years to get him green card. Carry him, send him going family and a part of America. So they put me on a Greyhound bus to Colorado. At 15 years old.
That is intriguing right there. Before you even continue, why did they have to do that? Stephanie, you sound like you used to give trouble. You used to give trouble, Steph,
I think I did give
a lot. You was a bad boy?
I was a bad boy. But the thing is that people have to understand that when kids are giving trouble, there are some underlying problems. I was chronically depressed.
Wow.
In fact, had it not been for being raised in this extremely Christian environment, I would have committed suicide because, though I'm not Christian now, I'm not religious at all. The Christian belief is that if you commit suicide, you go to hell and you can't enter heaven and etc. etc. So that's what kept me from actually committing suicide. So when I came to the States at 15 years old, I was very, very, very depressed. My father locked me up in his apartment in Yonkers. I just looked through the window on the 8th floor, and there are many, many days where I don't know how I actually didn't jump through the window.
Wow.
So, and that continued for quite a while, those feelings of depressions, well into my 30s until I was 35.
Because that raises the other question. Did anybody notice that you were, or did you
No.
really realize at some point that you were, so that you would have gotten help yourself, or did anybody try to?
Look, if he's a Jamaican, if he's a black man, who's black man that boy, I'm depressed, I'm going to commit suicide and kill myself. I don't eat that boy. It's not something that we talk about in our communities.
It's a taboo topic. You're
It's very
right.
taboo. You can't be a black male. You can't be a strong black male. You can't be a Jamaican. You can't be from the Caribbean. You can't be an African and talk about you're depressed and you want to commit suicide. But the thing is, what I've discovered is that it is very common among us.
Wow.
But it is masked by like ganja smoking or alcoholism or drug addiction or what have you. But I didn't do any drugs. I never even smoked some weed since I was a child. I've never smoked anything. So I just had to sit with my chronic depression from day one, day in, day out. And but it does exist among us in our community.
You, Stefan, as I said, talking to you and really getting intimate with you.
And getting to the crux of it.
That's right, to the crux of the matter. I mean, I'm really understanding some deep, deep places, because again, that is yet another topic that we really do not, look at as I don't want to say black people, or I don't even want to say black Caribbean people, but you're right. Tell your mother you're feeling depressed and you'll get one
none.
And I go send you to go and bring some water. Why you don't go and pick up the clothes on the line, or
exactly.
go and pick something or do something or whatever. It's really almost as if we do not pay any mind to it. And I must admit, sometimes I find myself dealing with not any, because I don't have kids, but even myself, it's like you do not give yourself that right to, because that is how it would be dealt with. Go do something.
The devil in you.
That's
the devil in you make you chat them foolishness there.
That's right.
Go for the tambourine switch.
And you know what? And it's true, knowing that actual depression could really, especially with the kind of childhood. I mean, who can remember? That must be really, really hard, Stefan, at age 4.
Yeah, and especially in my case, where I was raised pretty much in a prison. I mean, I couldn't go outside. I couldn't go beyond the gate.
A real community you're talking about.
Right, yes.
A Jim Jones something.
Yeah, it's like a Jim Jones kind of thing.
All right.
Yeah, it's like I couldn't go outside except to go to school or to go shop for the commune people. So I couldn't participate. I couldn't participate with people from the outside world, because my mother and the rest of the saints of the Lord, were concerned about the outside world corrupting them picnic, So, and I was given to God.
Wow.
So obviously that, in retrospect, now that I'm an adult and educated, it is obvious that would lead to grave depression, chronic depression.
Oh my goodness, you're so right, Stefan.
And so sex was the only thing that, once I was introduced to sex at 7, I think if I didn't have sex at 7 years old, I don't know what I would have done.
You know what, Stefan, as you know, we're some total of or past or present.
Yes,
and you know
that
what,
is so
just
true.
thank God that you are here today and you're able to share your memoirs with others. And it's not just, a memoir of this or that, but healing and
yeah, and that's what this book is about mostly. I mean, there are some titillating aspects of it. It's an erotic ethnographic memoir. So there are some aspects where it's very erotic and very sexual, but it's actually more about a journey than titillation. It's more about this journey from this environment of depression and just disparity and poverty and abject poverty, and to self-actualization, so to speak.
Tell us about that transition to Japan.